How do you normally nurture your relationships, say for your spouse or your friend perhaps, or for your boss, or for someone that you love? How do you normally nurture your relationships? I mean, do you have a way to improve your communication with one another? Well, for my now wife, Donna, and I, there's this one important thing that we do on a weekly basis. It's not a secret. We do our weekly dates. On that weekly dates, we ask each other this one single important question. And it goes something along the lines of, Sweetie Pie, that's our endearment by the way, on the scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate our relationship this past week? And that's what I exactly asked Donna last week, to which she replied, well, 7 over 10. And then I asked her this follow-up question, why 7 over 10? What would it take to make it to 10? And then she smiled and looked at me and she said, 2 things. Well, first, if you would minimize your teasing, well, in Tagalog, pang-asar. And number 2, if you take time to listen. Well, I admit for number 1, in our relationship, I'm that type of person who loves to tease her every now and then, that sometimes she gets annoyed by it. And since it doesn't serve our relationship anymore, probably that's one of the things I need to minimize, right? But for number 2, to tell you honestly, I was taken aback when I heard when she said that I need to listen more, which I'm also guilty of. You see, I used to be a preacher. And as a preacher, I love to preach. So much so that whenever Donna shares with me something, my mind would go, I'm not sure if Donna already knows about this thing. So I need to tell her about it so that she would know. And because that's what I thought, what I would do is when Donna shares something, I would cut her off and I would tell her, you know what, you're not supposed to think that way because that's not right. I thought that's my way of loving her. But what she felt is the other way around. Because her love language is time, she doesn't feel loved. Why? Because I don't take time to listen. And you know, it all started with that thought I had in mind that, well, probably Donna needs to hear about this. Donna needs to learn about this. When in fact, most of the time, Donna already knows what to do. She just needed somebody to listen to. At first, that didn't make sense to me until I learned this one powerful lesson I learned from Brenda Benz in her book, The Forgotten Choice. And she shared about this, what you think is what you get pyramid. There are 4 stages into it. Before you get to the results, normally it starts with your thought. It starts with the way you think, because what you think dictates your feelings. Your feelings, how you feel, dictates how you behave, and how you behave dictates your results. I don't know about you, but was there ever a time you told yourself, I wanted to change the behavior of my partner, I wanted to change the behavior of my spouse or of my boss or of my office mates? If we digest that thought that you have, that's already on the 3rd stage of the pyramid, which is the behavior. When in fact, you can never change a person's behavior, not unless you change your thought. As cliche as it may sound, you cannot change a person. You can only love them. How do you love them? By changing the way you think. When you give them the benefit of the doubt, when you change your perspective about that certain person, that's when you start feeling good. When you feel good, that's when you behave in a certain way that that person feels loved. And as a result, you have a restored relationship. Let me give you another example. Well, see, you have a friend who is so precious to you and you message that person. Now, Because that person didn't take time to reply, you start having these thoughts that, well, probably this person doesn't love me anymore, or she doesn't care for me anymore. Now, because you have that thought, probably the next thing that happens is you feel bad. And when you feel bad, probably you retaliate. And when that happens, as a result, your relationship with that person is ruined. How about changing your perception with that person first? By giving him or her the benefit of the doubt. Because when you do that, you change your perspective. And because you change your thought, that probably that person is busy. That's why she didn't take time to reply. You feel good. And when you feel good, you behave in such a way that you give that person another chance. And then when you do that, of course, you have restored relationship. I'm not saying that this is an overnight thing. The reason I'm sharing this with you is also to remind myself that everything starts with the way I think. And the way I think dictates the way I feel. The way I feel dictates my behavior, and my behavior dictates my results. But you know what? The more you do it every day, with every person you come in contact with every circumstance you get to deal with, I tell you, one day, what you think you will get. Because here's the thing. It's either you allow your thoughts to control you, or you control your thoughts. You choose. Before I end, let me ask you this. What are your thoughts about these things that I'm sharing with you? Let me just remind you that what you think, you will get. Again, this has been March Encino telling you to march on, live your life to the full, and live a balanced life. See you in the next video.